Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. Cause you are the one for me. You just believe, 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 Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. Cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. Cause you are the one for me. You just believe, 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 Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand. Cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe.
Yo, welcome back to another stream, people. Hope you're all doing very well. The weekend is nearly upon us. The FA Cup semi-final is nearly upon us. We have a big stream to get through. We have lots to talk about. We're going to preview, we're going to do predicted 11, and we're going to talk about what you see in the title. Pep and Tiki to leave, question mark. There are reports regarding the futures of both Pep Guardiola and Tiki Bergin at Manchester City. So we're going to get into it all. Make sure you get involved in the live chat as always, people, and make sure you hit that big thumbs up button. All those likes massively help. The support recently has been great. The big goal coming up is 8,000 subs, and we're closing in on it. We're nearly 200 subs away from 8K. So hit the like button, subscribe, tell a friend, all that good stuff. If you like the content, you can see it. Me and Joe, we're grinding these last few days. Watch along, stream, guests. We're going to start doing some videos now very soon. So, boom, do all that good stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Big up MSSSS, big up Fraser, big up Bree, big up Carlington, big up Mean. Welcome, everyone. Hit that like button and let's get straight into the news. Right, before we do the preview, I want to do the Pep and Tiki news. All this news is coming from Spanish press. Now, Joe, I want you to tell our fantastic viewers that we have right now all about what we think about the Spanish press in general.
A bunch of bullshitters. Shit stirrers. They do it all the time. I hate it so much.
The Spanish media are a very unique segment of the footballing media world. They like to dramatize, they like to clickbait, they like to make everything a circus, make everything a song and dance. They like to make it theatrical. They're very extravagant in the way they do their media. They have no shame in telling lies. They have no shame in clickbaiting you. They have no shame in just saying things for the sake of saying things. And whether it's to try and have a negative impact on a club or a manager or a team, or whether it's to just try and get something that they want, get a manager out of a club. So Jorge Picon is my guy's name. He works for Relevo, who seem to be some Spanish media outlet. He only has 13,000 followers, but he is coming out with what he declares to be news regarding Tiki and Pep. Well, let's start with Tiki, right? Because Pep's obviously a big one. So let's start with Tiki. He says the feeling that Tiki Bergin will leave his position as sporting director at Man City is gaining strength. And while there is no specific date on this, it is not ruled out that he will exit before Pep Guardiola. Now, we obviously don't know when the exit of Pep Guardiola is to come. We have, he's gone on to speak about Pep Guardiola, but Tiki's been at the club now for the best part of 10, 12 years. He's been huge in transfers. He's been huge in building us to what we are right now. I don't even know what to think of this, because I don't know what Tiki wants. I don't know what the future holds. Is he going to step aside? Is he going to step down? Is he going to bring someone else in? Is this just absolute waffle to try and spread negativity around Manchester City? We've just been knocked out of the Champions League by Real Madrid, a Spanish club, of course. Are they trying to kick us while we're down? I don't know. We don't want Tiki to go. That's bottom line. As far for me personally, I know Tiki has his haters and people don't like what Tiki does on the transfer side of things. And, he should spend more money and he should have brought this player in. He should have brought that player in over the years. But the fact of the matter is he's done a very good job when it comes to recruitment and scouting and representing our club. I think he represents our club very well. So, I mean, Joe, what do you think of this news? There's actually no real information given here other than it is not ruled out he will leave before Pep Guardiola.
I mean, yeah, cheers, Jeff. I could have told you that. Does that mean I'm an aggregator? No. Of course it's not ruled out he might leave before Pep does. He's been here for longer than him. So, yeah, naturally you'd say there's a good chance that when someone's done 12 years, they're more likely to leave than someone that's done 9 years. Because we all know in football, the times of people staying for 20 years is kind of gone. You don't get that nowadays with football. It's very much, you might get a decade, and then that's when you see moving on. I mean, look at Klopp. He's done about a decade at Liverpool. I mean, we'll talk about Pep, but he's, nearing up to a decade. You don't get your Fergies doing 20 years, your Wenger's doing 20 years. It doesn't happen in football because with the level that football is at, you need to refresh quite frequently. We've seen it over the years. I mean, we spoke yesterday about how we need a summer refresh. After, 2 seasons gone from a treble, we need to refresh the squad. It's just football. It happens. Sometimes you just need to move on, and there can't be sentimentality in football because sometimes that can hold you back. Being too nice, you need to be ruthless. It's a ruthless game, ruthless business. So while I don't want it to happen, I feel like Tiki sort of redeemed himself. For me, he redeemed himself, a few years ago now. But, early on, there was a few question marks for some of the business we were doing, some of the players we were signing, some of the players we decided not to sign, that sort of thing. But the business that we've done over the last, I'd say 7 years or so, has been very, very good. There's been very few blunders. Maybe you look at someone like Calvin Phillips, Sergio Gomez maybe currently, but he wasn't a lot of money, so I won't really call it a blunder. But, we've not really had too many stinkers. And I look at something like, again, just the summer gone, just to name examples, the Vardiel deal. He did very well to get a very good price for that deal. I think a lot of people expected the price on that to be higher than it was. So he's done a good job, and he's one of the reasons why Pep is even here in the first place. Because we have all these Barcelona boys here, Tiki, Ferran, and all them boys. And that's how we got Pep. Because he had people that he already knew at the club, and that's how we managed to get him here in the first place. So you'd imagine the two are intertwined, and if Tiki leaves, it kind of signals the beginning of the end for this era that we're in. So I don't really want it to happen, but I guess there's not much we can do. He's done, like he said, about 12 years. We can't say we haven't been blessed. And again, football is cyclical. All cycles come to an end, and if it's the end of Tiki's cycle, then the club will have to find someone new, because it's not like a an Omar Barada where we could potentially go without it. His role is very important. He signs the players. We kind of need someone to do that role. So there will need to be a replacement if he does decide to leave. But the whole could leave before Pep, it's not really news. Like, it's not major breaking news. It's not like he will leave or like he's going to leave in the next, when his contract's up or whatever. He might leave before Pep does.
Guys, there's 60 people in the building. We're only on 20 likes. Make sure you've hit that big thumbs up button. It really, really does help me and Joe when you hit the like button. So make sure you've done that. There is always an inevitability to both Pep and Tiki leaving. I think from Tiki's point of view, you might view it as job done. He might view it as job done. He came to Manchester City, took over the role that he did. And it's no secret that Tiki said, or it's no secret that Tiki... His main objective when he took over the role he did at Manchester City was to bring Pep Guardiola to Manchester City. He was a believer that if you bring Pep Guardiola to Manchester City, it will make Manchester City what we are today. And he had to go through the phases, with Mancini and Pellegrini and these kind of things to ultimately get Pep. He worked with Pep at Barcelona. Pep knows our board very well. He knows everybody very, very well from his Barcelona days and so on and so forth. Tiki brought Pep to Manchester City. We achieved absolutely everything that was there to be achieved. We won every single trophy we could possibly win. We've dominated England for the best part of 7-8 years now. So if he was to leave, it wouldn't come as a surprise because he could literally say, I've done what I came and said I was going to do. Do we want him to go? Absolutely not. Do we want Tiki or Pep to go? Absolutely not. Because us as football fans, we're always going to believe there's still more you can do. There's still more to do. Just because you've ticked the boxes that you said you were going to tick doesn't mean there's not more we can go and tick. But you actually can't blame the guy if he does want to leave. Do I think it's going to be in the next year to 18 months? Maybe. I think they could both leave. They might both leave at the same time. It wouldn't come as a surprise that if Tiki leaves, Pep goes, I want to leave too. Because Pep has a serious relationship with Tiki. Pep has a special relationship with Tiki. They're on the same wavelength. They work really well together. Tiki generally gets Pep who he wants. They have an open dialogue. They're intertwined with the scouting system and so on and so forth. So maybe Pep would feel that's his cue to go. So they're very much interlinked, and their futures at the club are very much interlinked. But once again, you have to boil it right back down to what we said at the top of the show. There is nobody worth talking about, nobody credible in the footballing world right now saying that this is a possibility. This Jorge Picon guy is one of the Spanish media puppets by the looks of it, in my opinion. Because the majority of these Spanish journalists are Spanish media puppets. They just churn out rubbish, throw shit at the wall, and hope most of it sticks, or hope some of it sticks. But us, we're going to talk about it. We're going to have the conversations about it, and we're going to give you guys our thoughts on who's saying these things. If this was Jack Gunn, if this was Sam Lee, if this was Martin Blackburn or any of these big names, in the Manchester City media world for the last 5, 6, 7 years, we'd be saying, okay, this is a serious conversation we need to have. We can always talk about when Pep might leave, when Tiki might leave, what life looks like after. But until someone worth really listening to speaks, I'm not going to sweat over it too much. So that's kind of Tiki. Do you know what I'm saying? That's where we're at with Tiki. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to leave in the next year to 18 months. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays another 5, 10 years. That's just the reality of the situation right now. He also goes on to speak about Pep Guardiola, this Jorge Picon guy. I hope Jorge Picon's not watching because I'm totally just discrediting him. I'm basically saying he's a bozo. He may not be. This Jorge guy, he may have intel. He may know what's going on. But I'm sorry, mate. I've never heard of you before, so I'm not taking you too seriously at the minute. Yeah, the Pep Guardiola bit. Although a final decision has not yet been made on Pep Guardiola's Man City future, the feeling of the board does not invite optimism. There is less and less trust in a contract renewal beyond 2025. So we've done a lot of streams, or we've had a lot of conversations regarding the future of Pep Guardiola in recent weeks, Joe. We've spoke about how we're both relatively optimistic that he will extend. It's just we're not quite sure about how long the extension will be. I'd be very surprised if Pep extends beyond 1 to 2 years on top of his 2025 contract. Erling Haaland's contract runs to 2027. I could see Pep having a contract to about 2027 at best, and maybe calling it a day there. But at the very same time, I could also see Pep calling it a day at 2025. I could. I'm just being open and honest. I could see him calling it a day, but I have optimism. Jorge Picon doesn't have optimism. I don't know where he's getting this. that the board have less and less optimism that Pep's going to extend. I have no idea where he's got this from. He's not the first person to say this, and he's not the first person to say the opposite. I've seen plenty of people with the same amount of followers, the same amount of credibility as Jorge Picon saying there's belief that Pep will stay. So it's totally up to you what you want to listen to.
I suppose it's fear-mongering, isn't it? The Spanish press with a Spanish manager going and just been knocked out by a Spanish side in the Champions League going, oh, he might leave, there's less and less optimism, he's going to stay. Like, we've been hearing that Pep won't stay for long. Pep won't stay for long. The second he came through the door, it was, his football won't work, he'll be gone within a few years. When his football worked, it was, he won't stick around for long. He'll be here for 5 years, he'll go on to his next club. And now that he's done almost a decade, it's, surely it can't last for much longer, right? So we're in the cycle. We're in the cycle of where people are desperate to get him out the door because, for one, if you're a fan of another top English club, you are sick of the sight of this guy every single season because he just seems to win. And again, if you're a fan of a European club, you're probably, saying similar things. Like, he's always going and having deep Champions League runs. And, he's a potential, he's a Champions League winning manager. So I'm sure there's clubs around Europe who'd probably like to have him, and he's talked in the past about how he'd like to try international management, and there's a few vacancies potentially coming up. Like, it all lines up, but again, it depends who you want to trust. I've never heard of this Jorge Picon guy or whatever. I've never heard of this guy in my life, so I can't say either. I can't say if he... Well, I can't say if he's reliable, but I also can't say he's not, because I just don't know. I don't know either way, so I can't tell you to just not believe him. It's a load of rubbish. I can't say that. What I will say is take it with a pinch of salt, because I've never heard this guy talk about my club before. I follow these aggregators, City Extra, City Report, whoever. I follow these guys on Twitter, so when news comes out, I see it. I've never seen this guy's name before, not that I can remember on anything that's like major or breaking. So the fact how he's now chosen to speak on the ongoings on my club, all I can tell you is to take it with a pinch of salt, because I've never heard him speak about us before. But I can't tell you to completely disregard it, because it is a real possibility that he is right. I mean, it could be guesswork, but at the end of the day, guesswork can still be right. I can't say it's not right, but I wouldn't put too much belief in it, because I think there's a lot that hinges on the summer. Spoke about it yesterday. You give Pep what he wants, he'll probably stay. And that's a big part of it. I think in the summer, if it all goes well, there's a potential for a 1-2 year contract extension. If it doesn't go well and we fall short of targets, maybe he will decide that the cycle's done.
Well, that's just it. Listen, welcome Craig, party time. Good to see you in the chat. Welcome Jerry. Welcome everybody who's joining us right now. Hope you're all having a good day. 75 in the building. Make sure you've hit that big thumbs up button. Guesswork is a big thing, and as I say, guesswork can be right. Listen, me and you can sit here and start guessing what Pep's going to do. We can start saying that we guess Pep's going to extend for 5-10 years. We don't know. But I mean, someone in the chat says, the Formidable Centurion says, watch DMU spin it up maybe because 115. I highly doubt any exit of anybody on our board, or I don't know, maybe not the board, but Pep Guardiola's exit will not be interlinked with the 115 charges. I think Pep has been too open and too adamant in his points that, you will not make me leave this seat, or I will be in this seat type thing. He said too many things backing the club. He said too many things, showing faith in the club and showing his love for the club, that I don't think anything is to do with 115 charges. I'd be very, very surprised if news came out that Pep's left because he's in fear of, these 115 charges hitting, or Tiki's left because he's involved in these 115 charges and he's in big trouble, and so on and so forth. I think it is just natural. Anytime anyone leaves over the next couple of years before these charges come to a close, that naturally the world media is going to spin at that, they've shit themselves over these charges. Because the most popular thing to talk about on the internet right now is Manchester City's charges. The most easy form of clickbait is Manchester City's charges. The most popular number in the world right now is 115. I'd say the numbers on people's keyboards, 1, 1, and 5, have never been hit as many times since February last year. So it's easy content. And also, this is very relevant to the point that I've made quite a bit about. It's very popular to post anti-Manchester City content, to talk negative on Manchester City. So they know, journalists, not just in Spain, this isn't Spain specific, this is general football media. It's in Ireland, it's in England, it's in Europe, that City are not popular. We are not a liked club right now, and that's fine. I don't mind not being liked because it's natural. No one liked Manchester United when they're winning left, right, and centre. No one liked Chelsea when they're winning left, right, and centre. No one likes the team that dominates. Everyone wants to hate them because they're taking from you. They're taking food off your plate. They're taking trophies out of your cabinet. So you're going to hate on them. So what do you do to get your clicks and your numbers up as a journalist? You start posting content and media negative about them that might get that mass public a bit excited. Oh, Pep's gonna leave, Tiki's gonna leave. All of a sudden, Europe and English media European and English football fans that don't like Man City are going, yes, this has made my day better. News about Pep finally leaving City. My day is better. Maybe my club can finally start to compete with Manchester City, because they know that once Pep leaves, it makes it a slightly more level playing ground. You know what I'm saying? So it makes everybody a lot happier. It makes a lot of people happier than it makes people unhappy. Do you know what I mean? There'll be a lot of people happier with that news than there will be people unhappy with that news. So it's a smart form of media. You appeal to the masses, and the masses do not like me and you. They do not like Manchester City. So publish the 115 content, publish the Pep leaving content, publish the Haaland unhappy content, publish the, all these things, and you're going to get people hopping on board. You're going to get people like me and Joe sitting here having to try and rebuttal it. You're going to get people like Mark Goldberg saying Man City in crisis. You're going to get Craig from Manfield Agenda. You're going to get Simon Jordan on TalkSport. You're going to get Jorge Pico in Spain. You're going to get Tiki Taka guy, whatever his name, Tic Tac guy in Spain talking about it. It's easy media. It's easy money. But we don't know anything concrete until someone worth talking about speaks. Do you know what I'm saying? If I wanted to come on here every single day and have this exact same conversation with you lot, I could. I absolutely could. Because there's always someone, whether it's Goldbridge, whether it's TalkSport, whether it's Sky, whether it's Spain, whether it's Germany, whether it's someone, there's always someone out there posting content negative about Manchester City. And me and Joe could come on here every single day, and argue tooth and nail with them and rebuttal them tooth and nail. But today it's about Tiki and Pep, so it's slightly different. I told you guys before, I'm not going to consistently come on here and talk about charges. I'm not, because I'm not listening to 99.9% of people when it comes to charges. I've been open and honest. I know very little about what's going to happen, so you know very little about what's going to happen, respectively or respectfully. But this is different. This is Pep and Tiki, so I'm willing to have the conversation. I'm willing to talk football. I'm willing to talk about things that are more, open for dialogue. Because we're not legality experts. We're not, we don't have law degrees. We're just football fans, and we're happy to talk about the ifs, buts, and maybes of Pep's future and Tiki's future. But the charges thing, like I said, I'll keep telling you guys, it's easy content, and you're making a mistake. Every time you click on it, you're facilitating. I think it's a very relevant point, Joe. I think it is that the anti-City content, it's very popular.
Big up the Tic Tac guy though, El Chiringuito, man. Tic Tac, I love him. He's like so funny. He's very funny, but no, it's like it's so easy, and it's easy because you don't have to know what you're talking about to make content on it. Case in point, the charges. Nobody has any clue whatsoever about anything more than the amount of times we've been charged. So you don't even need to know what you're talking about or be an expert to be able to make content on it. So it's easy content. People click on it. People lap it up. They love hearing about it. Makes their day. Like, it's easy views and it's easy to do, but it's very, very boring. So, like, I wouldn't like to do... Imagine that being, like, your source of regular views, being just to talk about things you don't understand. Like, it's very boring. You don't add anything. It gets repetitive, but it gets views. Like, that's the state we're in. We're that good that any little negative thing, regardless of how big a negative it is, gets views, because that's just how good we are. People don't like us. You know what, Joe? We if we really wanted to, we could put a lot of effort into
making content about how City are innocent. We could start claiming we know that City are innocent, and we could start using quotes from other people. I've seen the emails, I've seen the evidence, I've seen this, I know this, I spoke to that person. I could just lie and make content about it without blinking and look real serious and be the most viewed man on YouTube in this conversation, because everyone's going, that Hugh guy said this, so I must trust that Hugh guy. The same way Craig from Anfield Agenda, Simon Jordan, Mark Goldberg, these guys say they know what's going on. No, I ain't gonna lie. I'm a man of integrity, or at least I try to be. So I'm all about keep being honest and open with you guys and integral in this situation. The same way we don't know. We don't know regarding charges. We also don't know regarding Pep and Tiki. All we can do is be hopeful. Like I've told you guys before, I have heard, but never take me as ITK, never take anything I tell you as gospel. I've heard positive things regarding Pep, but today we're hearing negative things regarding Pep. So it's totally up to you what you want to decide. But from a Manchester City standpoint, I'm very confident Pep will stay because he seems very happy. He said they'll have to if they want to get rid of me, they'll have to force me out. If they want to keep me, I'll stay type thing. We have to take that at face value. Pep loves Manchester City. He's been happy here all along. I think keep Tiki. You go a long way to keeping Pep. And even if Tiki leaves, we could go a long way to keeping Pep too. Pep Guardiola has this unique position now whereby his biggest challenger, Jurgen Klopp, is gone, or he's going in a month's time. Mikel Arteta is still the kind of maybe man. We're unsure about Mikel Arteta and what he can do at Arsenal. Chelsea have a lot of work to do. United have a lot of work to do. Tottenham have a lot of work to do. And then you have Real Madrid, Bayern, PSG in Europe. Pep's in this very unique position whereby all he needs to do is stay, keep his own presence, and bring in some refreshments. And we have a very, very good chance at sustaining and continuing success. So Pep has to weigh up his options. Does he jack it in and say, okay, I've won everything, I'm job done, I want to go and rest, or I want to go try something different. At that point, you can't argue with him either. You have to say, fair enough. If he wants to go and do something different, he wants to go and do something different. But he also has to look at the other option, which is, if I stay here, am I going to get any better resources, any better situation anywhere else? Am I going to get a better opportunity to have dominance anywhere else? So I don't think it's as clean cut as he's going to leave in 2025. But I also don't think it's as clean cut as he's going to sign to 2035. I think you could see a 1-2 year extension. He might do a 1-2 year extension on top of that in 2-3 years' time. Who knows? But he's now in a position where the Premier League is there for him to dominate. It is. That's the reality. It is. Arsenal can do what they want. Liverpool can do what they want. They don't have the Pep factor. The Pep factor has proven to be the trump card. If you have Pep Guardiola, you have a significantly better chance at winning trophies than anybody else. Arteta's trying to replicate Pep. Everybody in England is trying to replicate Pep. Europe, they're trying to replicate Pep. There's a unique opportunity for Pep to absolutely dominate. He has 5 Premier Leagues. He could easily, if he stays long enough, hit 10. That's how much faith and belief I have in Pep Guardiola. That's how much respect he's earned from me and the footballing world through what he has done since coming to Manchester City. Coming in, being told, as you said, Joe, his football won't work, his football won't last. He'll stay 2-3 years, then he'll go back to Spain and where the tiki-taka suits better. He came in and tore England to shreds. He's tore England to absolute shreds. Took the piss out of English football in 4 and 5 different styles. It's there for him, man. It's there for him.
And I'd love for him to stay for 10 years. I would love it to be a 2035, but we have to be real. And if he is going to sign a contract, we're in the time frame of the Pep Guardiola era that any contract or contracts that he signs, from this point onwards, they will all be 1 to 2 year deals. 3 at a push, maybe, but I think this is like maybe the last opportunity you get 3. But going forward, it'll be 1 to 2 years because it'll be treated the same way as a player entering their 30s for us, where after a decade, it's like, it depends how much the manager want it, how much the board want the manager, how much, what the squad's looking like. If Pep doesn't feel like the squad is buying in, or there needs to be a mass refresh of players, which, we're usually quite good at, like you said, solving problems before they arise. So we tend to not have to do these big, massive, 10, 15 player overhauls. But, that might become a stage. You never know in the future. So we're in that stage, like I said, of 1 to 2 years for every contract he signs in from now until whenever he decides to leave. just because of that factor of he's been here for a while, and it will be taken on a case-by-case basis of how happy he is and how much he thinks he can compete. If he doesn't think he can compete, like Klopp said, he's tired, he don't think he has it in him anymore, so he left. If Pep feels like he can't compete, he'll leave.
That's it. But I think he knows he can compete. I think he knows he can more than compete right now. Listen, there's 100 people in the building. Absolutely fantastic to have you all here. I hope you're all having a very good day. Do us a favor, hit that big like button and subscribe if you're new around here. If anybody wants to help support me and Joe, there's a link in the chat now to become a channel member. Plenty of perks come with that, and you're all massively appreciated. So listen, the closer we get to sorry, excuse me. The closer we get to summer of 2025, the more and more and more of this you're going to hear. The more and more and more of these kind of random journalists coming out that you've never heard of saying Pep's leaving or Pep's less likely to stay. You're going to see happen. So until he signs a new contract, we may get used to this. We may get used to these kind of posts. We may get used to these kind of articles and these kind of conversations, because that's just the reality. Everyone is desperate for Pep to leave Manchester City, but he's not said once. He's genuinely not said once publicly that he's thinking of leaving, or not even the usual buzzwords, or I'll review in the end of the season, or I'll review, when the time, we'll speak when the time is right. He's actually said more suggesting he's going to sign a new contract than he said that he's going to leave. So, hold your optimism. Don't allow these, don't allow people to bring you down. Don't sweat too much, people. Don't sweat too much. Right, that's half an hour on Pep and Tiki. We're going to move it on to the FA Cup semi-final. Obviously, we have a match tomorrow. Myself and Joe will be doing a watch-along. Hope you can join us for that. Get your thoughts in the chat on tomorrow. Obviously, a few narratives surrounding this. City still have a double to fight for. We're off the back of a loss in the Champions League. We're out of the Champions League. Cole Palmer versus Manchester City. The big talking point of Pep's press conference, people, was, of course, Cole Palmer. He was asked heavily whether it was a mistake letting Cole Palmer leave to go to Chelsea, and Pep was very open and honest about it. He said he actually gave us information that we didn't even know, that Cole was asking for 2 years to leave Manchester City. I thought it was just kind of, he was asking to leave this summer or last summer, but it turns out for 2 years he'd been asking. Pep said, stay. He said, no, I want to go. Pep said, Riyadh's gone. There's an avenue here for you. And Cole said, no, I want to go. So what can you do? Anyway, he's playing against us tomorrow afternoon. Before we get into all that, how do you feel about this game, Joe? Tired City, I would imagine, rotated potentially. Chelsea probably haven't had a good time.
Yeah, they last played on Monday. They had the Monday Night Football slot, so they've had basically a week off. We've just had an extra time and penalty shootout loss in the Champions League on Wednesday, which I still don't know why they didn't give us the Sunday slot. I don't get it. Man United aren't playing European football. They got bounced, so they should have swapped us around. But it is what it is. Can't complain. My expectations for this game weren't even that high before we lost to Madrid and all that stuff happened, because I knew this side would be rotated. But I'm not saying we'll lose. I'm not being negative. I still believe that we can get a result. But again, if the performance is a bit underwhelming or there's a few players who just look tired, I get it. I'm going to be honest, my expectations for this game aren't the highest. I'm not expecting it to be a great game. I could be wrong, but I'm not expecting it to be a high-quality game, because this, to me, falls into the category of just getting the result. The performance, for me, given what's happened, it's not too important. If we can get through and get to another final, I'll take it. That's kind of where I'm at. And we need to beat Chelsea as well, because, my God, 2 draws in the league. We just need to beat Chelsea. They're ninth. We have to beat them at some point. It'd be disappointing if we don't.
It'd be so silly, though, wouldn't it, to go and win the league and not beat Chelsea at all during the season. But they're going to be up for it, man. Chelsea are going to be massively up for it, because this is their season. Do you know what I mean? This is their season. And if they win the FA Cup, they get access to the Europa League, which they may not have got through the league, or they may not get through league, finishing position and so on and so forth. So they're going to be up for it. This is their cup final. If they beat Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-final, they're going to feel they have a right chance of winning the FA Cup. And all of a sudden, that shit season that they've had, it's been a shit season. Like I've already said to you guys plenty of times, without Cole Palmer, they're probably very much further down the shitter than they are right now. All of a sudden, an FA Cup adds a bit of silverware to a shit season, and it's not a totally shit season. So they're going to be up for it, and they're going to be looking at us saying what you just said. City have just lost after extra time and penalties in a Champions League game on Wednesday night. So they're probably vulnerable. And when it comes to injuries, there's a couple of question marks over players. I mean, I'm looking at Pep's press conference here. He said Kevin De Bruyne feels well ahead of Man City versus Chelsea, while Erling Haaland is a case of we will see. After feeling a muscular issue, confirms Pep Guardiola. Haaland felt something muscular issue. That's why he asked to come off against Madrid. De Bruyne felt his hamstring, so tired. I mean, that's not good. Do you risk these players? I mean, is it even a place? Do we even have to play Erling Haaland? Are we even sweating over Erling Haaland because we're not finding him? We're not using him. If Haaland does play tomorrow, are we going to find the guy? I'm very confident that Chelsea are going to take leaves out of both Arsenal and Real Madrid's books and decide to play the way they did, because that's proven recipe now to potentially getting a result off Manchester City. So if they do that, how are we going to use Erling Haaland? How are we going to use Erling Haaland if we haven't shown that we can use him in any of the games properly recently? Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, the one that worries me there is Kevin De Bruyne and hamstring. My God, that is just scary. Like, is that just it for? Not just it. He's not finished, but is that it in terms of De Bruyne will never ever be able to play like more than once a week ever again? Is that it? Like, is that just the situation we're in? Because this guy just, exactly. After every single game, it seems to me he's either absolutely out on his arse and tired and can't play again for a week, or he's done some sort of little hamstring issue or something like that, groin issue. Like, is that just the stage we're at with this guy? Which is unfortunate, but if we're struggling to find Haaland and De Bruyne can't keep himself, fit and available, we're just got to struggle, aren't we? So that's where the summer comes in. But I didn't think either of those two would play. I was maybe a little bit 50-50 on Haaland myself before the game, because he got subbed off at the end of regulation against Madrid. He was subbed off at the end of the second half. So I thought potentially he may be involved, but if he's injured, then that kind of just throws it out the window. I think that most, if not all, I don't think we're going to afford to do all, but I think most of the players who played into, who started the game and played into extra time, they won't play or they won't start. I think it's natural for that to happen because that's a lot of football, and I get that they're professional athletes, and there's been some people saying you can't use tiredness and extra time as an excuse, and it's not an excuse, but I'm using it as a reason, because if this was, say, September, October, it's not an excuse, it's the start of the season. We're in April. Most of these players have been playing 2-3 times a week for most weeks in the season, and just to play extra time and penalties, that is exhaustion. Some of these players will be out on their feet, and it's not even just the physical tiredness, the mental tiredness. How much of a blow is it to lose on penalties like that? As a player, as a fan, it hurts. But imagine being a player in that situation. Imagine being one of the players that missed as well. Like, it could take a little while to get over that, and maybe it can take, winning a game of football to properly get it, put it past you and get back on track. So it's going to be difficult because Chelsea have given us 2 pretty good games this season. If we're being real, even though they're 9th, they've given us a couple of good games. And we're coming into it a little bit wounded, a little bit down, a little bit leggy. Few injuries. We're not playing the greatest. We're struggling to find whoever's playing up front, whether it be Haaland or Alvarez. So it's a sticky one. It's a real sticky one. But I don't think that Haaland or De Bruyne would. I think the plan was that neither of them would play regardless of what happened against Madrid. To be honest, I just think that none of them were going to start.
Fact of the matter is, the game on Thursday night against Brighton is a bigger game. It is. And I'd much rather have, I mean, even if they do both get a day off tomorrow, it's still what? Yeah, you're looking at an 8-day rest. I'd much rather they have an 8-day rest for that game than they play tomorrow, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, let's start with the Kevin De Bruyne one. You kind of touched on it. I said this when he first came back from injury. I said people do not expect Kevin De Bruyne to be back being Kevin De Bruyne. Fix this. Do not expect Kevin De Bruyne to be back, 2-3 times a week, smashing goals in, pulling strings, consistent performances, because look, the nature of his age and his injury means he's going to have issues all the time. A proper hamstring tear where it comes off the bone like it did for Kevin De Bruyne, that's an injury you're dealing with for the rest of your career. That's not something that heals on its own and gets back to full strength and full fitness, especially at his age. Maybe if he was a 22-year-old, 21-year-old, you might say, okay, he can work with this, he can get this back to full strength. But at 32, 33 years old, whatever he is now, 31, 32, it's not going to get back to full replenishment. So you have to totally manage Kevin De Bruyne. Now, the Erling Haaland one, yeah, he looked leggy. He's looked leggy for a long time. He was bollocks. If you watched our watch along during the week for the Real Madrid game, we all agreed Kevin De Bruyne looked really, really tired, and he was definitely carrying something. You only have to watch the guy to know he was carrying something. And it was probably the right call to ask to come off, because if we want the challenge for this 4 in a row, and we want Kevin De Bruyne to have a say in this 4 in a row, we couldn't risk him tearing his hamstring again against Real Madrid, totally off the bone, and he's out till next Christmas. You know what I'm saying? It's one that we have to manage. Now, moving on to Erling Haaland, I have an issue. I wouldn't be surprised, people, and you may not like this, I wouldn't be surprised if something comes out this summer from Erling Haaland, his dad, his agent, whoever, saying, look, we're not happy with this. We're not happy with this. We're not happy with how this is going. He's the best striker in world football. He's not being used properly. He's not being found. He's proven that when you do find him, he scores goals. He's not happy. He's not happy. If I was Erling Haaland, just from a personal point of view, taking my City hat off, I'd be having conversations with Pep saying, look, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if this system you're playing is the best thing for me at 23 years old. Haaland needs to be playing in a team whereby he's getting service. He has ruthless people trying to find him, balls over the top, taking risks. He thrives in chaos. We saw last season when he scored 52 goals, Erling Haaland thrives in chaos. There's no chaos right now. There's no chaos. There's no desire to pick Erling Haaland out. There's no desire to invite a defense out so you can give Haaland that yard that he needs. I really wouldn't be surprised if someone publicly comes out and says he ain't happy, because he's not happy. Watch his body language. I was in the Bernabeu last week. I watched his body language. 3-4 weeks ago, it was similar. He wasn't getting the service he wanted, but he was still making runs. He's now making less runs. You see Haaland actively making less runs, actively looks like he knows he's not going to get the ball he wants, so why would he bother? I feel for him. I feel for him. We have the best number 9 in world football, and we don't utilize the guy. We don't look for the guy. We don't make an effort to find the guy. It's like having 10 men. We may as well, bring Raheem Sterling back and throw him in a false 9 like we did before, because it has the same impact. We're totally reliant on the wingers and midfielders to score the goals right now, because the number 9's not getting a look.
Well, just look back on the Real Madrid game when we had Amos on yesterday, and he said the same things that we've been saying, or that we said after Madrid. Of Haaland didn't actually play bad against Madrid at home. He did everything that you asked him to do: physicality, holding the ball up, trying to get involved, occupying defenders. Haaland did everything that you would have asked him to do. You don't ask him to get involved in build-up play. That's not him. But you ask him to get involved physically. Get involved in physical battles across the pitch. And he did that. And we didn't find him. We didn't reward him with any service, any real service. He had a few headers. That's not what that's not his food and drink. That's not him. He might be 6'5", but he's not a great header of the ball. And, and just on a side note, it sounds like an excuse, and it's not an excuse. It's just a fact that he was a very late bloomer into growth, wasn't he? He wasn't always a target man number 9 when he was, coming through Salzburg. That wasn't him. He wasn't the biggest. But, when he arrived at City, he actually grew from when he was at Dortmund. So he will eventually learn how to do that side. But right now, his heading's not good. He needs to improve on it, but his heading's not good. He thrives on service. You find him will score most of the time. He's had a few games. I've seen a few people in the comments saying, we fed him the ball against Chelsea at home. Did he score? No. Luton, 1-on-1, did he score? No. But, we played Luton away in the FA Cup. You fed him. He scored 5. More often than not, if you give this guy the ball in the box and he shoots, he's going to score. And we're not finding him. He's not getting shots off inside the box.
I also think he needs to find a rhythm. Do you know what I mean? He needs to find a rhythm. You can't just say, okay, because he had no chances for the last 5-6 games we're talking about, consistent chances, and then one game comes along where he gets loads of chances and he doesn't take them all. You're kind of go, well, why hasn't he taken them all? He needs to find a rhythm. He needs to feel he's going to get service. I mean, I've seen people saying, oh, well, he missed this one chance here and he missed that one chance there. What's the point having Erling Haaland if he's only going to get 1 to 2 chances a game? What's the point? You need to give this guy 5, 6, 7 chances and you're pretty confident he's going to score 3 or 4. At least 2, 3. That's the beauty of Erling Haaland. I don't think any of this is his fault. I think we're not making enough effort to find him. Pep needs to tweak it to a system whereby we are finding Erling Haaland. I'm not saying make it the Erling Haaland show and make it that we're only trying to find Erling Haaland. Of course not. It has to be a team collective, a team effort. But right now, he's totally out of the game. He's totally out of the game. I appreciate what he's doing when he's not in the game as much as he wants to be. I appreciate and I accept his role where he's battling with centre halves and he's having wrestling matches and so on and so forth. But we could get anybody to do that. You know what I mean? We could get Vardiol up from left back and say, you are now the number 9 because you're a big lad. Just wrestle with Rudiger, wrestle with Tchouameni, wrestle with whoever the centre halves are, Thiago Silva now against Chelsea. No, we must find a way to utilise this guy. And the fact of the matter is, I know he loves Manchester City. I know he loves the club and he has a big place in his heart for our club. But this is his career we're talking about. Does he want to waste valuable years of his development in his career at a club where he's not getting ball? He's not getting service. He wants to be playing in behind defenders. He wants to be on the last shoulder. And you can't use the argument whereby, well, every team sits back and plays a low block, so what can Haaland do? At that point, it's up to us as a team, midfielders and wingers and defenders, to bring defences out, to invite them out. Like we said during the week, play long shots, put in some crosses, earn the defence's respect. Don't leave him isolated. He's totally isolated up there, Erling Haaland, and I feel for him. No number 9 who is an elite finisher and loves his club wants to be isolated. He's on his own, and he's on his own all season and still bagged 30 goals. So he's quite clearly not just fallen off a cliff. We're not doing enough to find Erling Haaland. So this is my gripe. This is my gripe. I feel for Erling Haaland. I don't think there's much more he can do when the team's playing the way it is. The crosses that go in are generally shit. The corners are generally shit. We don't invite defences out enough to make space for Erling Haaland. There has to be a system, a tactical setup whereby we can maneuver room for Erling Haaland. Because that's how you're going to get the best out of him. If not, we may go back to false 9. If not, you let Haaland go wherever and you tell Julian Alvarez you're now the false 9. You have the starting shirt, you're the false 9. You can drop deep and get involved in link-up play and build-up play. But when Alvarez did do that, he came on against Real Madrid. He was dropping deep, he was doing his thing. Fair enough, he's doing what he should be doing. But there's no one in the box. And then we're all saying there's no one in the box. Why is there no one in the box? Well, when there was a man in the box, we weren't finding the man in the box. You know what I'm saying, man?
You can't win. Again, no. I've said this before. You scream as loud as you can. We don't have a striker. We need a striker. We need a striker. 2 years, all I heard was the word striker, and he was giving me fucking migraines. And now that we've got one, everyone's going, he's shit. He's not having a good season. He don't get involved. He's playing bad. I'd sell him to a European club for riches and make a profit and play someone else. So what do you want? Do you want a striker? Do you not want a striker? What do you want? You can't be happy either way. Pep's done it with both, and people still aren't happy. At the end of the day, you got to find this guy. He's still not the furthest thing away from sort of a goal or assist every game that he's played this season. So again, like you said, it's not like he's completely fallen off. It's just he will go 2 or 3 games without having service and then miss a chance in the next game, and people will go, well, you got service, why didn't you score? Because he hasn't scored for 3 games, because he hasn't had a shot in 3 games. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. If we're struggling to create against low blocks, my suggestion to Mr. Pep Guardiola is to play with 2 creative midfielders instead of putting a Bernardo Silva and Mateo Kovacic next to whoever plays in the number 10. Play with 2 creators in the middle. Try and get a bit more creativity in the team to try and find this guy. You know what I mean? Maybe try Jeremy Doku from the start because he's willing to get to the byline and try and cut it back or put a cross in. You know, he might be a raw talent and he might get things wrong and play poor. But if you think that we're going to struggle against low blocks and we need, someone who might make something out of nothing, Jeremy Doku can do that. So you have options, but he's not using them. He's using the same, he's got Foden out on the right, Grealish on the left, very static. Bernardo Silva's in the middle. He's not creating much. and it's predictable, it's static. We're not making anything out of what we've got. We can't do anything about what we've got. We can't make a signing until the summer, but we've got potential answers within the squad that we can use tactically, but we're not seeing it.
Guys, 100 people in the building. Do us a favor. Make sure you've hit that big thumbs up button. Keep getting your thoughts in the chat. I'm reading everything you guys have to say, but make sure you've hit the thumbs up button. It really, really helps me and Joe. There's people in the chat saying sell Haaland. There's people arguing with those people saying, oh, if you're saying sell Haaland, you're crazy. You are crazy. If you're saying sell Erling Haaland, you are crazy. There is no world where we should be saying sell Erling Haaland. We have the best number 9 in the world, bar none. The best finisher in world football in our ranks. And the issue is we don't use him. We don't use him. We don't find him enough. We don't make enough effort to find him, and he's totally isolated. He looks like he's lacking confidence. He looks like he's frustrated. And people will say, "Oh, but he had this chance, that chance." Like the main chance Haaland had against Real Madrid during the week was a looping header which hit the crossbar and fell to Bernardo Silva, who didn't tap it in. Okay. That's the main chance Erling Haaland had. That's a game against Real Madrid, a Champions League quarterfinal, second leg knockout football. The stage is set for you. The stage is set for Manchester City to go and get Haaland in the game, get him some goals. We win the tie, and it all looks perfect. We didn't do that. You think Haaland left the Etihad the other night feeling happy? First of all, of course, we got knocked out, so he's unhappy. But second of all, going, I played one of the biggest games of my career, and I barely saw the ball. I was barely involved in the game. I wrestled, I tussled with centre halves, but I was barely involved. So there should be no desire to sell the guy, but I get it if he comes out and says, this needs to change. This needs to tweak. This needs the setup has to be different, because for me personally, in my own career, I need more. I need a better platform to thrive, because the platform for him at Manchester City to thrive is not there. It's totally different to what it was last season. Last season, we were inviting defenses out. We were breaking down defenses. We were unlocking defenses, and Haaland was getting in and he was finishing. Right now, we're not doing that. It's robotic, it's meticulous, and it's predictable. So Haaland, for him, and his own development, I would get it if he came along and said, nah, I don't like this. Either you give me assurances something's going to change, something's going to improve, or I have to consider my future. None of us want that. I don't want that. But let's look at what you're watching. Take in what you're watching. It's not for Haaland, what we're doing right now. It's not designed for Haaland to thrive. It's not designed for Haaland to get goals. It's not. It's totally designed for Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, and other wingers to pick up G&A. And when they're not doing that, which they weren't. I know De Bruyne got his goal, but other than that, we had very few chances. When they're not doing that, then people start to go, well, where's Erling Haaland? We need goals. Why isn't Haaland scoring? He's not going to accept that. No one accepts that. Do you know what I mean? If you're a decent number 9 who has big ambitions, you're not going to accept that. You know, he knows that if he's given proper service, he's going to bag. He's going to bag. So we need to do better, man. We need to do better. But it's up to Pep. We've got the best manager in the world. There's no one I would rather have to try and fix the situation. Maybe Pep feels he doesn't have the resources right now, the players to break down a defense, to invite a defense out and find Erling Haaland. I don't know. We don't know. But I get his frustration. And like I say, people, do not be surprised if something comes out from his entourage, from him personally, from someone saying Haaland is not happy. Haaland is not happy. Even when we had Mahrez was firing in accurate crosses. Do you know what I mean? Gundogan had the ability to find Erling Haaland a lot. It is what it is, people. It is what it is. Right, let's keep it moving. Hit the like button, people. Hit the like button, subscribe, become a channel member if you want to support me and Joe and you like our content. Anyways, that's my rant and Joe's rant about Erling Haaland. We have... let's do a predicted 11, Joe. Let's do a predicted 11 for the game tomorrow and see what we can come up with. I think we both agree there's going to be quite a bit of rotation. Are we all in agreement, chat, that the Brighton game next Thursday is a bigger game than tomorrow? I think you are as well, Joe.
Yeah, 100%. Like, would I rather win for a 4th Premier League in a row or a 2nd FA Cup in a row? Joking, right? It's not a question.
Yeah. Exactly. Right, let's start this predicted 11. Ortega goes in nets, of course, doesn't he, for the FA Cup games?
Simple. Next.
Right back, I'm going to go Rico Lewis.
Yeah, didn't play against Madrid, so
yeah,
naturally he goes in.
Yep. Centre halves, I think John Stones.
One of them will be John Stones, because he came off the bench. Here's where it gets tricky, right? because I think Nathan Ake is going to start this game, but I don't know where. So I don't know who else is going to play.
I think he rests Vardiel and Ake starts left back. Diaz and Stones.
Yeah, I was going to suggest Diaz. Out of all the defenders, Diaz seems most likely to play again. So I think the three of those, Ake, Stones and Lewis, are pretty nailed on. Because Lewis and Ake didn't play at all against Madrid. Stones only came on in extra time. You just have to play one of the others.
Afternoon, Martin. Hope you're doing well, my brother. Right, so we got Ake, Diaz, Stones, and Rico Lewis. Holding mid. I'm going to go Kovacic. I'm going to give Rodri a rest. The guy is bollocksed. Rodri is knackered. Let's have this conversation a bit about Rodri and pause this predicted 11 for a second, because people are saying Rodri had a bad game. Rodri's not turning up when you want him the most, when you need him the most. The guy has openly said he's tired. The guy has openly said he needs rest. The guy has openly said he's playing too much football. He needs rest. We need sufficient backup for Rodri, because we're going to burn this guy out. We have the best defensive midfielder in world football, and we're going to burn him out. He looked leggy in both legs against Real Madrid, and we all know that's not Rodri. Rodri is not a leggy player. He rarely looks tired. He's always consistent. And when he has 2 games in a row, big games, where he looks tired and leggy, there's an issue. There's an issue there. He's tired.
I mean, not only that, but he's tired and he's played extra time and penalties. Like, there's tiredness and then there's just overload. You're not going to play this game. I doubted he would even start this game if the game ended after 90, to be honest. But after the whole extra time, not a chance. Like, not a chance. And I think it'll be a pivot again, the same pivot we saw against Luton. I think it'll be Kovacic, Sat and Nunes next to him. I really think that that's probably what we're going to see.
Yeah, I back that. Put Nunes in front of him. Rodri needs the rest, man. If we want to win this 4 in a row, Rodri needs rest. I don't think he should train early next week. I think he needs tomorrow off. I'd nearly have him not in the matchday squad. That's how important Rodri is. The guy needs rest. Now, midfielder, I'll put Phil Foden in.
Well, someone's got to be creator, and if there's an injury doubt with Kevin De Bruyne, then it probably has to be Phil Foden if we want creativity. Really, doesn't it?
In the position that he really should be in, and he should have been in against Real Madrid. He should have been there. He should have been in where Nunes is, and Foden in where and De Bruyne where Foden is. It should have been those two. But, you know what I mean?
And if he does well against Chelsea, say he fucking scores, I think my head's gonna boil, because he's just like, what could have been, man? What could have been?
What could have been? What could have been? Right, let's move to the left wing.
I think it'll be Grealish. Personally,
I think it'll be Grealish.
He came off after 7. He never should have came off, but he came off. I think he plays.
Yeah, I think Grealish left wing. I'm putting Alvarez up front.
Yep, of course. And then right, I think it's Doku. Could be Bob, but I think it's Doku.
I'd like to see Bob, but I think it's Doku.
The only change I think I could see to this team as we have it right now is Foden doesn't play, and Oscar Bob does. And we just have a fluid, maybe even Grealish in the 10. You could see that maybe.
I think it's more likely what we have there right now is the team.
I don't think he goes with Oscar Bob from the start. But again, if there's one change I can see, it is Oscar Bob playing instead of Foden and just having this sort of fluid moving about system. Maybe Grealish in the 10, like I said. Oscar Bob maybe in the 10, you never know.
I think Alvarez has a big role to play in this game tomorrow, you know. I think with all the negativity around Erling Haaland, not from us now, from everyone, Alvarez could really stamp his authority on this team. He really, really could. And with Chelsea, more than likely, in my opinion, going to play a similar low block and defence that Real Madrid and Arsenal played, he's going to have to find methods, man. You know, Alvarez is more capable of dropping deep and getting involved than Erling Haaland is. So that's what I want to see from him.
Well, if we're going to struggle to find our number 9, if our number 9 can get involved in link-up play like Alvarez can potentially do, then there's a big part of him on this game. I don't know whether Chelsea, and if Chelsea is smart, they'll park the bus because it works against us right now. But in the 2 games that we've played against them in the league, they didn't park the bus. In fact, the game where we were at home, they went 1-0 up, and we only scored when they tried to park the bus. Pochettino brought on an extra central defender, went to a 5, and we scored. So I don't know whether Poch has it in him to park the bus. I could be wrong, because Like, I didn't think Arteta would part the bus, but here we are. He played a back fucking six. But I really don't know about Poch parking the bus. It doesn't seem like he does that. So I don't know. Potentially it could be open. Potentially. Again, like you said, this is their season on the line. Like, this is all they've got left.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. Big up Martin in the chat says, Chelsea on form, we can't rest too many for me. I get it. If you want to win the one-off game, you can put out all your superstars and hope they're not too tired and they can win the game. But I think you're risking the league game against Brighton. More injuries, more fatigue. I would sacrifice the better chance of winning this game. I still think this 11 we have on the pitch can beat Chelsea tomorrow, but I would sacrifice the better chance of winning the game on the basis that Haaland, De Bruyne, and Rodri and these kind of players get the rest they need. We'll be kicking ourselves. We'd be kicking ourselves if De Bruyne did his hamstring tomorrow, or Haaland did his ankle, or Rodri totally pulls up. Because the more tired Rodri gets, the more likely he's going to get injured. So I think you have to rest. I really do. I think you have to rest. But this team can still win, Joe. This 11 on the pitch can still absolutely beat Chelsea.
It's another situation where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Everyone's getting the knickers in a twist because if you do one thing, it's bad, and you do the other thing, it's bad. If you play your starters who've just played 120 minutes and one of them gets injured or two of them get injured, everyone's kicking off going, why'd you play them? They just played extra time. If he does the opposite and don't play them and we lose, everyone's going, why didn't you play your starters? I would have quite liked to win this game. You can't win. The life of being a manager, you can't win. People are angry either way.
I know. Big up Mohammed with the super chat says it's sad how we can't create chances for Haaland. I don't know if you missed the segment, Mohammed, but we just spoke in depth about Erling Haaland in that situation. It is sad. And to summarize, I said I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and says he's not happy. I'm not saying that's him coming out saying he wants to leave, but if he comes out and makes noise saying he's not happy, I totally get it. Now, he is a total professional. He may not do that, but I could imagine his entourage, I could imagine someone leaking it, or it gets out that he's not happy, because we're not making chances for Haaland. We have the best number 9 in the world. We're not making chances for him. Now, it'll be interesting to see with the team that we have up there. If this is the team tomorrow, it'll be interesting to see with Foden in midfield, does Alvarez suddenly get more chances? Are we saying Foden in midfield is the key to creating more chances for our number 9? Because De Bruyne, who did look like he looked tired against Real Madrid, he wasn't creating chances. Is Foden right now our key? Because Foden has been a creator all season.
Well, and again, like I said before, there's the potential of someone like Jeremy Doku, like, he can make something out of nothing when he's on it. How on it he can be consistently is still up for debate. But if we start creating things, if the team lines up like this and we start creating things, Nunes and Foden might be switched. I don't know. That's just the way I have it. It doesn't really matter. I'm hoping for fluidity personally, because the more static and robotic we look, the worse we look. So I'd quite like some interchanging of positions and players moving about, whether it's Alvarez dropping deep, Foden going wide and then coming narrow. Same thing with Grealish starting wide, drifting inside, that sort of thing. Like, we need some fluidity about the team. So it'll be a big eye-opener if we do start creating. Of course, some of it might come down to how Chelsea plays, because if Chelsea don't park the bus and we create, then of course you can't read into it too much, because, we've just played against multiple teams who've parked the bus. But if Chelsea park the bus and we create, significant chances, then there will be some difficult conversations to be had, to say the least.
Big up Mohammed again, another super chat. Appreciate you, Mohammed. He says, also this lineup could get destroyed on the counter. The counter attack is something we've had to deal with all season, and we've had to deal with it for years, if anything. It's just something we have to get used to, isn't it? Everyone wants to hit Manchester City on the counter. I'm looking at Rico Lewis, I'm looking at Stones, Ake, and Kovacic to deal with that. We face against much better counter attacks than Chelsea in recent times. So we just have to deal with it. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try and create space on the counter. Palmer to unlock Mudryk or Madueke or Nicholas Jackson, whoever. They're not a good team, Chelsea. They're not a good team. They've been fortunate against us this season. The 4-4 was chaos. The other one, we were bad. We have to turn it up. We have to know what to expect. They should not be beating us, Chelsea. I don't care what lineup we put out tomorrow, how many players are rested. They should not be beating us. They should not be beating us. Nullify Cole Palmer on his own. Tell Kovacic to do a one-man job on Cole Palmer, and you go a long way to nullifying Chelsea, because everything goes through him. Everything goes through Cole Palmer, and Pep will know this. So if Nunes or Kovacic, one of them, man marks Cole Palmer, all of a sudden their counter-attack is slowed down massively, because that's something we suffered with them, was giving Cole Palmer too much space. He was still a relatively unknown quantity back then, Cole Palmer. You didn't know what he was really capable of. Now we know. So shut the guy down. The same way teams, when they play against us, they shut down Kev. Whenever any decent team plays against us, they always man mark Kevin De Bruyne. I'm not saying you have to specifically man mark him, but make sure you shut the guy down and you'll go a long way to stopping their counter.
I mean, that's kind of the point Mohammed makes in his second super chat. Says also this lineup could get destroyed on the counter. It could, with Kovacic playing there, but I'm not less confident with Kovacic playing there if Stones is going to play in that position, because he gives us extra protection in the midfield. What did we see from Akanji against Real Madrid? Clunky. Madrid basically ignored him because he was just non-threat for playing in that position. So if Stones plays there, I think he can play Kovacic. I really think he do. Stones will protect him. Likewise, Kovacic is no slouch. He's better on the defensive side of the ball than he is going forward. Look, if Kovacic can't play this role as a backup, then what is his place in the squad? Because he can't play as an 8 because he can't go forwards.
Yep. No, I get it. Guys, make sure you've hit the like button and you're subscribed if you're new right here. We're one subscriber off 77.9. So if anybody wants to be that subscriber, hit the big button and hit the like button. All of your support we massively, massively appreciate. And just a reminder, we are live again tomorrow for a watch along. And there's a link in the chat if anybody wants to help support us, become a channel member. I'm looking at you, Dara Rebel. I can't believe you're not a channel member. Don't be a bozo. Be a channel member, Rebel. So that's our predicted lineup. Obviously, Chelsea, their whole thing will be counter-attack. They do have pace out in the wings. I don't know what team to expect from Chelsea. I know they have Thiago Silva back. If Haaland was to play tomorrow, they'll just tell Thiago Silva to have a wrestling match with Haaland. But Alvarez will provide them with a different issue. Maybe it'll be refreshing. Maybe it'll be slightly refreshing having Julian Alvarez in the team. I don't know what to expect. This is a big chance for him. I'm looking at Doku saying you need to create. Something we've suffered from massively is lack of creativity. You need to now create. Jack Grealish, you need to create. Even Nunes, I know he can create. He's a direct runner, an aggressive runner, break between the lines. We can punish Chelsea. We could absolutely kill this game. And as Craig Partytime in the chat said a couple times, was it Craig or Martin? One of them said the Wembley pitch is huge. That should suit us. The Stamford Bridge pitch, for anybody who's been to Stamford Bridge, it's tiny. It's a car park. So that game we played...
Mourinho.
Yeah, Mourinho. The Stamford Bridge pitch is tiny. So when we went there, it kind of suited Chelsea to compact the game and limit our space. We're going to have space in abundance in Wembley tomorrow. So fucking make use of it. Foden needs to be releasing Doku. Nunes needs to be releasing Alvarez and Grealish. No, I'm not going tomorrow, Martin. I'm doing the watch along. I'm doing a watch along here for the fantastic community that we have. But you know what I'm saying, Joe? Bigger space should suit us. Like a low block should be less of a low block on a big pitch.
Well, yeah, just tell that to Real Madrid, who low blocked us on our own pitch. Like, it does become less of a factor. It does. The low block can be nullified if the pitch is bigger because there's wider space. But the wide space and the big pitch, nullifying or potentially, slightly countering the low block only becomes a factor if you start taking long shots and force the defence to come out. If you just try and work everything into the box like we did against Madrid, don't even bother, because they'll just sit in the 18-yard box and go on, pass it. Go on, pass it, side to side, they'll crab movement, and they'll lock it down. If you're going to make use of this big pitch, got to use the wide areas, take some long shots, create overlaps, reverse passes, that sort of thing, where there will be space because the pitch is bigger. You've just got to use that space. Otherwise, no point.
This tomorrow on the big pitch suits Doku, doesn't it? It totally suits Doku. Use your pace, my son. Run around them, knock the ball forward, do Adama Traore settings. These Chelsea defenders are not that great. I mean, what was Chelsea's last lineup? Who was our last game? Chelsea, Everton. I think Chilwell played fullback.
Cucurella, maybe.
Cucurella.
Neither of them are the greatest defensive fullbacks. They're both very attacking. Chilwell and Cucurella. They're both very much trying to fly down the flank, put a cross in.
Yes, yes. Where can I? Fucking Yahoo, man. Anybody else get stuck with Yahoo? I can't find the Chelsea team.
I'll find it.
I just want to see who that
Chelsea,
fullbacks are.
Everton, fullbacks. Malo Gusto and Marc Cucurella.
Gusto's decent.
Gusto's decent, but that's on Grealish to get the better of him when it comes to obviously the who plays on the right. If Doku's going to play on the right, Cucurella, Thiago Silva played on that left side centre back. So if he's dragged out, for as good as he is, he's an old man. He's run past him. He might drag you down and get him on a yellow card.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Dara Rebel, finally a member of the HMTV channel. About fucking time, mate. Only took you, about 3 months to become a member? He's our mate, by the way, people, Dara Rebel. He's our mate. So he used to be on the channel with us. But welcome to the club, Dara Rebel. Welcome to the club. Anybody else wants to join the club? The link is in the chat now. Be like Dara Rebel. Be a channel member. Be a big dog. Be a big dog and become a member. Big up Rebel, man. Big up Rebel. Hit the like button, people. Hit the like button. We're 10 likes off 100. Would be great to finish the stream on 100. And yeah, we've hit 77.9k, which is great. Or 7.79. Nowhere near 77.9. But yeah, big up all of you. Watch along tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Our second watch along. Our first one didn't go so well. A loss to Real Madrid. Hoping for a bit better tomorrow. But listen. We can all sit here and wallow in our own pity after getting knocked out of the Champions League and not retaining our own Champions League, which was a tall order in the first place. We can win an FA Cup. I love the FA Cup. I do. I really love the FA Cup, and I'd love to win it. But with that said, I would love to win 4 in a row even more. And we can still win 4 in a row. We are 6 wins away from winning 4 leagues in a row. Now, we need to be on it. Tomorrow, we need to prove that we were not derailed by the Real Madrid loss. Do not be derailed. Hey, big up Martin. Martin's become a member as well. Welcome to the club. Everyone is joining the HMTV club, joining our army. I'm telling you, we're building an army of blues here, a big dog blues, yeah? If you're a serious big dog blue, you're a member of the HMTV army. It's a club, it's an elite club for elite people. Martin
We're
and
building
Dara
an
Rebel.
army. Building an army. Who are we sending for?
We're sending for tomorrow, Chelsea. Tomorrow we're sending for Chelsea. Tomorrow the HMTV army turns its attention to Chelsea, and we all, as one siege mentality army, fire for Chelsea. Big up Martin becoming a member, and Dara Rebel, welcome to the club. Once again, link is in the chat. Anybody else wants to join our prestigious elite club of Big Dog Blues? Are you a big dog? But yeah, look.
Big
We have it,
dog.
man. Big dogs. It's what the big dogs do. Welcome, Martin and Dara Rebel. You fantastic human beings. Great character. It's in our hands, man. 6 games to go. Do not let this derail. It's a great chance to show mentality and character, I think, tomorrow, Joe. That we are not derailed. We have better character. We have more experience than to let our whole season go down the shitter because Real Madrid beat us.
Yeah, because not only just experience from being knocked out of the Champions League and just having to go again, but we have experience of being knocked out of the Champions League by Real Madrid multiple times. So this is not a new feeling. This has happened before. Maybe it's a new feeling for some of the players, but for the most of them, you've been there and done that. They've kicked you out of the competition before, so it's nothing new. Like, do you remember the last time we got knocked out in the quarterfinals? Tottenham. Who did we have next in the league right after we got knocked out? Tottenham at home. Did we win? Yeah, we won 1-0. We turned it around. We just got on with it. We got on with our league campaign, won the league.
Mm-hmm. Gotta get on with it, man. Gotta get on with it. Right. I think we're gonna wrap it up there. We've been live for an hour and 12 minutes, which is a long time. We spoke about absolutely everything we need to speak about. The talking is done. The time for talking is over. We will be live. The game starts at 5:15 tomorrow. So we'll be live at 5:15, half an hour before kickoff tomorrow, with all the team news for a big watch along FA Cup semi-final. We hope as many of you as possible can join us. We would love to have you join us. So just hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, become a channel member. Like I said, become a big dog. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. 4-peat loading, FA Cup double loading. Stay safe, people. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Good night and God bless. Good day and God bless. In a bit. Wrap her up.
Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand. 'Cause you are